Hello, I'm Sifu Kuttel, and in this video I want to talk about a particular Chinese saber in my collection that I find extremely well-fitting for Tai Chi Chuan practice. That is the Ling Dao by Chen. This is the Ling Dao, which translates to goose quill saber, and the name is actually based on the shape of the blade, which we'll get into a little bit later on in this video. But it is a one-to-one replica based on an existing Ming Dynasty sword from the 17th century. And this is an ideal sword based on its length, its weight, and its point of balance to use as really what the Tai Chi masters would have been familiar with at that time. However, this particular blade, the design kind of predates Yang-style Tai Chi Chuan by a little bit, but it is not a different design than what the masters would have been using at that time. Not only is the Ling Dao masterfully crafted, but it is a truly beautiful sword to display when it's not in use. The distinct appearance of the square handle, pommel, and scabbard were signature to the Ming Dynasty and early Qing Dynasty and give the sword a truly distinguished appearance. The disc guard has a ridged perimeter, which is called a Tai Yang, or a sun shape, and gives it a subtle refinement, especially compared to the other plain disc guards that you see on other sabers of the time. The 28-inch blade has the goose quill design that starts with a straight blade and begins to curve a little bit ways up from the guard and to form the cutting edge. It also has a false edge and two grooves running along the blade, which helps both in weight reduction, but also for stabbing and thrusting techniques. Now, I recommend this particular sword for your Tai Chi saber, not only because of the historically accurate design, but really because of the weight of the weapon. There is so much to learn about correct technique and body structure and correct weight distribution when you actually have a true weighted weapon. You really understand how the technique was meant to be used and how the weapon itself was meant to be used. And this is really important, not just for the martial aspect. Even if your goal is for the health side of Tai Chi, this refines your stepping, your weight distribution, your understanding of moving weight and balance and alignment and all of these things just with a correctly weighted instrument. When you use a lightweight sword or training implement, it's easy to take shortcuts and do awkward wrist manipulations and controls with the sword. And although this may sound harmless, especially with a light weapon, over time, the repeated movements and the repeated awkward manipulations could actually cause injury, as well as just it reinforces improper technique. As I've already mentioned, you need to be ready for a little more weight as compared to typical training sabers. But there's one other thing that you should know before you get this saber, and that is particular to the Ming Dynasty itself. You can see this in artwork of pictures of bannermen that existed. You can see this in the shape of the scabbard and definitely in the shape of the handle and pommel of the sword. It is very square, and that was a particular style and theme of the time. And although it's really not that big of a deal when you're grabbing the sword and the pommel's not too big of a deal, you may find a little bit of awkwardness when you get too close to the guard. You may find that the corner is a strange grip. However, if you make a slight adjustment of your grip, not necessarily that you have to get lower on the sword, but if you cinch up a little bit differently, you're going to find that the thumb can sit comfortably next to the sword and not get really pressed by this corner edge of the feng shui style of the squared edges. So really you actually increase your gripping strength and you'll find that it does not become a nuisance, although you will definitely notice it at first. Now, I'll leave all the sword details for the weight, length, metal composition, all of that stuff in the description down below, as well as a link to the Chen website so you can read up more on this or you can order one for yourself. But there are a couple of ordering options that you should also be aware of. And one of them is this type of blade steel. So you can get a pattern steel, like my sword is right here, that has a Damascus look to it. Now, one of the other options that you can get is a wrapped steel option, which is a brighter steel and is actually a little bit more labor intensive. And that will come with an added cost, but again, it has a very distinct appearance to it. Now, one of the other things I would recommend is that when you order this sword, you order the non-sharpened version. If you're going to be using this saber for Tai Chi forms training, saber training, and just daily practice, there's really no need for a sharp blade. Only if you're going to use the sword exclusively for cutting practice should you get a sharpened blade, because these will come cut ready. So please be aware of that and make sure to check that when you are ordering this sword. The Ling Dao has become my main Tai Chi saber. And that's why I made this video, to recommend it to you because of how much I like this sword. Now, this sword was sent to me to review by LK Chen, and I made that video on my other channel, my Kung Fu channel. So making this video recommendation to you is totally out of my own volition, and it's something that I want to share with you because of really how well I regard this sword and how much I like this in my own Tai Chi training. Well, I hope you find this video useful and that you have a better idea of how to find the best Tai Chi saber for you. Like I said, I recommend this one by LK Chen, and you can go over to their website and take a look. And there are different swords from the Ming Dynasty itself, from preceding dynasties, and even from later on in the Qing Dynasty to the sabers that we typically see. What I really like about LK Chen is that they make their swords as historically accurate as possible, but also at an affordable price. If you have this sword, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below, share anything that I may have missed in this video, and your observations as well. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.